Shalom, family. Pray everyone is doing well. Brother and Elder T, Iman the Hebrew, just chiming in during the Feast of Purim. Pray that you are celebrating and that you truly are just feeling so much joy in the love that the Most High has for you. Don't want to take up much of your time. I wanted to share a little bit about this young lady's testimony. And so I won't take much of your time. It's probably be about maybe 15 minutes or so. This is Word to the Wise Wednesday. The Bible says a wise man shall hear and increase knowledge. It tells us in the book of Sirach 18 and 27, a wise man is cautious in everything, and in days of sin, he guards against wrongdoing. 28, every intelligent man knows wisdom, and he praises the one who finds her. 29, those who understand sayings become skilled themselves and pour forth apt proverbs. It tells us in verses 30, Sirach 18 and verses 30, do not follow your base desires, but restrain your appetites. 31, if you allow your soul to take pleasure in base desire, it will make you the laughing stock of your enemies. 32, do not revel in great luxury, lest you become impoverished by its expense. 33, do not become a beggar by feasting with borrowed money when you have nothing in your purse. And we'll just go to Sirach 19, verses 1. And it states here, a workman who is a drunkard will not become rich. He who despises small things will fail little by little. So in other words, dear family, we must really value that what the Most High has instilled into us, that which He has bestowed upon us. And I'm stating all this before I share this young lady's testimony to know that who you are, okay? Stepping into the truth and walking in your purpose. 3 more verses before I share. Sirach 19 and verses 20 tells us all wisdom is the fear of the Most High, and in all wisdom there is a fulfillment of the law. 22, but the knowledge of wickedness is not wisdom, nor is there prudence where sinners take counsel. 23, there is a cleverness which is abominable, but there is a fool who merely lacks wisdom. 24, listen good. Better is the God-fearing man or woman who lacks intelligence than the highly prudent man or woman who transgresses his law. With that, I would like to share with you now this wonderful testimony. Let me share it with you. Stop this here, put up the disclaimer. Enjoy.
Hello, my name is Jessica, and I never thought I would experience something that would change my life forever. But here I am, writing this to you because I feel like I have to share what happened to me. I died. I crossed over, and what I saw on the other side was something I never expected. I met Jesus, and he showed me something about black people that completely shocked me. It was not just a vision. It was a revelation. I am still trying to process it, but I know one thing. It needs to be told. It was an ordinary day, at least that's what I thought. I had woken up early, made my usual cup of coffee, and gone about my morning routine like I always did. Nothing seemed out of place, but something was different, and I had no idea that in just a few hours, my entire life would take a turn I could never have imagined. I was driving to work, just like I did every weekday morning. The sky was overcast, and the air felt thick, almost as if the world itself was trying to tell me something. But I wasn't paying attention. I was in my head, thinking about bills, work, and all the things that had been stressing me out lately. Then, out of nowhere, a sharp pain shot through my chest. It was like nothing I had ever felt before, intense, gripping, and terrifying. I tried to breathe, but the air wasn't coming in. My vision blurred, and suddenly everything around me seemed to slow down. The cars, the buildings, even the people on the sidewalk. It was like the world had gone into slow motion. I don't remember the exact moment I lost control of the car, but I do remember the sound of tires screeching and the sickening impact that followed. The next thing I knew, I was lying on the pavement, staring up at the sky. I could hear voices, sirens in the distance, people shouting, but none of it felt real. As I lay there, something strange happened. The pain started to fade, and I felt an overwhelming sense of calm. It was as if all the worries, the fears, the stress I had been carrying simply melted away. I wasn't scared anymore. I wasn't even sure if I was alive. That's when I realized I was dying. At first, I didn't know what was happening. One moment, I was lying on the pavement, feeling my body grow weaker, and the next, I was floating above it. I could see everything. The paramedics rushing to my side, a woman crying nearby, my own body lifeless on the ground. But I didn't feel any attachment to it. There was no fear, no panic, just an odd sense of detachment, as if I were watching a movie. I tried to speak, to call out to the people below, but no sound came out. It was like I was weightless, drifting further and further away. Then I felt something pulling me, not physically but spiritually. It was as if an invisible force was guiding me upward. I had no control over it, but I wasn't resisting either. I felt peaceful, more peaceful than I had ever felt in my life. A light appeared in the distance, small at first, then growing brighter and brighter. It wasn't like any light I had seen before. It wasn't harsh or blinding, but warm and inviting, like it was calling me home. I moved toward it effortlessly, as if I were being drawn in. The further I went, the more the world I had known faded away. The sounds of the city, the voices of the people, it all disappeared. All that was left was the light, and a sense of overwhelming love that wrapped around me like a blanket. Then, just as I was about to step fully into the light, I heard a voice. It wasn't loud, but it was powerful, resonating deep within my soul. "It's not your time yet." The voice was familiar, but I couldn't place it. Then everything around me shifted, and I found myself standing in a place I couldn't describe. It wasn't Earth, but it wasn't completely foreign either. It was like a waiting area between two worlds, and that's when I saw him. The moment I stepped into the light, everything around me changed. I was no longer floating, no longer an observer. I was there, in a place that felt both familiar and unknown at the same time. It was bright, but not in a way that hurt my eyes. The air was thick with warmth, but not the kind that made you sweat. It was comfort itself, a presence so strong and powerful that I could feel it wrapping around me like a soft embrace. Before me, a tunnel stretched far into the distance. It wasn't made of brick or stone, but of pure, glowing light. It pulsed with life, almost like it was breathing. There was no doubt in my mind I was crossing over. As I took a step forward, I noticed something incredible. The tunnel wasn't empty. On either side, shadowy figures stood watching me, their forms shimmering like waves of energy. I couldn't see their faces clearly, but I knew they were souls, people who had crossed over before me. Some felt familiar, like I had known them in another life, while others were complete strangers. They weren't speaking, but I could hear them. Not with my ears, but with my spirit. They were welcoming me, comforting me, letting me know I was safe. It was the most beautiful feeling I had ever experienced. I continued forward, drawn deeper into the tunnel. With every step, I felt lighter, as if all the burdens I had carried in my earthly life were falling away. Then, at the end of the tunnel, I saw him. Standing there, at the end of the tunnel, was a figure unlike any I had ever seen before. He radiated light, not just around him, but from him. His presence was overwhelming. Love, peace, power, all wrapped into one. I knew without a doubt that I was standing before Jesus. I couldn't move, I couldn't speak. All I could do was feel, and what I felt was beyond words. He looked at me, and in that single gaze, I saw my entire life flash before me. Every moment, every decision, every mistake, every act of kindness, it was all there, laid bare before him. But there was no judgment in his eyes, only understanding. Then he spoke, and his voice was like thunder and a whisper at the same time. "You are not here by accident, Jessica." I wanted to ask him why I was there, what was happening, but before I could, he raised his hand. And suddenly, everything changed. I was no longer standing in the tunnel. I was somewhere else, a place I had never seen before, but somehow felt deeply connected to. And that's when he showed me the truth about black people, a truth that would change the way I saw the world forever. I stood there, frozen in awe, as Jesus extended his hand toward me. His eyes held a depth of knowledge I couldn't comprehend, and in that moment, I knew I was about to see something important, something that had been hidden from the world for far too long. Without a word, everything around me shifted. The tunnel disappeared, and I was standing in a vast, open space. It was neither earth nor heaven. It was something in between, a place where divine truths were revealed. Before me, images began to form, like moving paintings made of pure energy. The first thing I saw was Africa, vast, beautiful, and glowing with a golden light. I saw ancient cities, strong civilizations, and people full of wisdom, resilience, and spiritual power. They weren't broken, they weren't weak. They were chosen. Jesus spoke, and his voice resonated deep within my soul. "The world has lied about them," he said. "They are not what they have been made to believe. They were given gifts, power, and knowledge that many tried to erase." The vision shifted again. I saw chains, ships, people being taken from their homeland. I saw suffering, pain, and generations being told they were less than what they were. And then I saw something even more shocking. I saw spiritual forces working behind the scenes, intentionally suppressing the truth. Jesus turned to me and continued, "The oppression was not just physical, it was spiritual, because if they knew who they truly were, the world would change." My heart pounded. This wasn't just history. This was a spiritual battle that had been going on for centuries. The deception ran deep, and most of the world had no idea. But then, the vision changed again. I saw modern times, people waking up, realizing their worth, reclaiming their power. The same people who had been told they were nothing were starting to remember who they truly were. Jesus smiled. The time of revelation has begun. They will rise again. Tears filled my eyes. I had never felt something so profound. The truth was hidden, but not forever. It was coming to light. The visions didn't stop. Jesus raised his hand again, and I was pulled deeper into the revelation. I saw a time long before slavery, before colonization, before oppression. I saw a world where black people held spiritual knowledge that was powerful beyond words. They understood the connection between heaven and earth, between spirit and the physical world. They had divine wisdom that had been passed down from generation to generation. I saw prophets, leaders, and warriors, men and women who had direct communication with God. They didn't need intermediaries. They could speak to heaven themselves. Jesus looked at me, his expression filled with both sorrow and love. "This is why they were targeted," he said, "because those who rule the world fear those who carry divine wisdom." My mind was racing. It all made sense now. The attempts to strip away their culture, their faith, their identity, it wasn't just about control. It was about taking away their connection to the truth. But as I watched, I saw something incredible. Even through oppression, through generations of being told they were nothing, their spirit was never broken. Their power never left them. "They carry something that cannot be destroyed," Jesus continued, "and that is why they must remember." At that moment, I understood. It wasn't about hate. It wasn't about division. It was about restoration. The world had been built on lies, but the truth was rising. The vision changed again. This time, I saw a great awakening. People of all nations, but especially black people, standing up, realizing who they were. I saw them breaking free from mental chains, reclaiming their spiritual power. It was unlike anything I had ever seen. The world had tried to erase them, but they were stepping into the truth. And as they did, something miraculous happened. The world itself began to shift. Jesus turned to me once more. "The prophecy is unfolding," he said. "They will lead the world into a new era of spiritual awakening." I gasped. Was this why I was being shown this? Was I supposed to share this message? "Yes," Jesus answered, reading my thoughts. "You must tell them. The world is changing, and they need to know the truth." I fell to my knees, overwhelmed by what I had just witnessed. It wasn't just about race. It was about identity, purpose, and destiny.
Wow. Now, here we are. As I mentioned, I'm not going to stay too long. I want to segue over to 3 verses, just pretty much solidify everything that I shared with you in this young lady's testimony that she's seen in her vision, crossing over, seeing that who the world identifies or calls as black people, okay, in America, that these are actually the children of the Most High, His chosen. Now, if you'll turn with me, and if you don't have your Bibles, I'm going to put it on the screen for you. Revelations chapter 11. And I want you to kind of look at the similarities of what was happening during the 12th month, during the time that the children of Israel, or I should say the southern kingdom, the children of Judah, were in the Persian captivity when the Most High wrought deliverance through Queen Esther. It says in Revelations on your screen, Revelations, let me make this a little bigger here. Verses 9 through 11. It said, "And they of the people and kindreds and tongues and nations shall see their dead bodies 3 days and a half, and shall not suffer their dead bodies to be put in graves. So, in other words, what we get here and what I'm trying to highlight and point out, that just as in the time during King Ahasuerus, who had over 127 provinces from India to Ethiopia, when Haman the Agagite, the enemy of God's children, tried to have them eradicated, he roused up all of the people, starting with the king first, from the head all the way down to the littlest, and through his counsel devised a way to have everyone be in accordance and agreement to ascribe to having God's children destroyed, because he said there was a people in the king's kingdom whose ways are contrary to all people, and it would be a great service if the king were to have them totally eliminated. And so he devised this plot, and that's what they called Pur. Every day they would cast a lot for a whole year, ways on how they can destroy the children of Judah. So look what it says now, okay, in verses 10. We're in Revelations. Notice what the young lady was saying, what she was seeing in the vision. And they that dwell upon the earth shall rejoice over them. So all of the people were rejoicing when it came time for that particular day, for them to actually put into place and execute and do what? Eradicate and remove God's children, those who were to carry the legacy, to carry, if you will, the house of Abraham, okay? Meaning that the Most High would have his priest established in the earth, okay, through his chosen, set apart vessels. And through them, all of the families of the earth would come to the light of Christ, the light of Hamashiach. I know she was saying Jesus. So, I mean, we know that we have to use wisdom even when we're, when we're hearing and when we're sharing the gospel. So she's seen that, and even with the images that they were putting up, in that particular pictorial, we know that Hamashiach, it tells us in Revelations 1 and 15 that his feet were as if they were burnt in a fire. They were as brass as if they were burnt in a fire. So that shows about his actual visage, meaning his exterior, what he looked like, his frame. And we know that judgment is in his eyes. I know that she said that there was no judgment. So her soul, and again, the only thing that I can experience is she felt the love and the embrace of the Son of the Most High, who had created all things, who the Most High, through the Most High, created everything, the worlds and everything in them, through his dearly beloved Son, who has the preeminence. So she felt that because all souls belong to the Most High, and Yasha is the one that leads all souls unto the Father. They belong to him because what belongs to the Father belongs to him. So stand on point though. In Revelations 11 and 10, it says, and they that dwell upon the earth shall rejoice over them and make merry, and shall send gifts one to another. So just as in Purim, so we know that the Most High, we know that Mordecai, that the Most High had Esther in a particular place to where that the Most High can utilize her at that particular time and moment, season, to that very hour that the Most High was going to deliver his people. And so it was a day that was coming on where the Jews, through all the provinces, they cried out to the Most High. They fasted for 3 days. They ate or drank no water. Or they didn't, when I say ate, they didn't eat or drink any water for 3 days. That was the instruction that Esther told, the king's chamberlain to go tell Mordecai, right? It was like her father figure, her uncle, her great uncle, and tell all the brews everywhere to fast for me. Because going over, I'm going to do this thing. You can only approach the king if he puts his scepter towards us. But nevertheless, because we're in dire straits and that there's this plan, this orchestrated plot and a campaign to destroy us, even if it costs me my life, then so be it. So that's what she did. And the Most High made her have favor in the king's sight. And so, as we know, what ends up happening is that day was turned from a day of sadness, a day of sorrow, to a great day of deliverance and celebration. And the king even put into play, or I should say, into legislation or into his law, those who sought to harm the brews or the southern kingdom of Judah, that the children of God might avenge themselves of those that were looking to harm them and take them out. And they can take the spoils and all that, no matter how great or small, from man or woman to child to infants. And so we know when you read in the book of Esther, what actually happened, that the brews did avenge themselves, or let's say they protected themselves, because there were those who were coming up against them. So because why? For a whole year they made a campaign all throughout that kingdom. Are you seeing the similarities in our modern times? People hate the word of the Most High. They have a vitriol or a disdain for anyone that truly believes and understands the scripture according to the narrative that the Most High, to what the scripture is actually saying, biblicalology, okay? In other words, scriptural wise. So we know that they that they had assistance not only from their, from the brews, but the king told his lieutenants and his deputies and all of his officials to even assist the Judites. And so the fear of the brews or the Judites fell upon all the people they even became, what, if you will, Jews. In other words, they began to serve the God of the children of Judah. Right? So reading on here, before I close out, it says here in Revelations 11 and 10 through 11, I'm going to read without stopping now. And they that dwelt upon the earth shall rejoice over them and make merry. So they were celebrating, and shall send gifts one to another, because these two prophets tormented them that dwell on the earth. That's speaking of Israel and Judah. That's where the prophets come from. Revelations 11 and 11. And after 3 days and a half, the spirit of life. That's that. Remember the lady, she said that this the spiritual awakening, that she said that Christ showed her that these people aren't, the world has been lying to you all. And yet, it makes no sense to try to convince anyone of anything or force someone to believe you. We don't have to do that. We just point you to the scriptures, find out, do some soul searching, and, before it's all said and done, prayerfully that you serve the Most High with fear and trembling. And if you do, then the Most High will reveal to you what's really going on. Okay. That's why I titled this Stepping into the Truth. So, and after it says, and after verse 11, now get this right here. You wonder why you see 11:11. Look at this. And after 3 days and a half, the spirit of life, that's Ruach from the Most High, entered into them, and they stood upon their feet, and great fear fell upon them which saw them. So they may not be telling it and saying, oh, listen, it's not that so much that they fear us as individuals. They fear what we shall become, because it's in the prophecy. So with that being said, I did this Word to the Wise Wednesday on a live here. Okay. May the Most High bless and be with each and every one of you. Until the next time that we see, speak, or meet, go with the Most High as the Most High goes with and before you. And know, Israel, know this for yourself, that yes, you are destined. You're destined for greatness, family. All right? Most High Barak you. Project the image that's contrary. Hey, what's going on with you, family? My brother, my sister. Can I rap to you for a minute? You know, I'm gonna spit the real. I know that they project the image that's contrary to the one that shows us that you are destined for greatness. Never mind what they saying. Your history started way before you ever came off a slave ship. You came from a people great, rich in history, but didn't know it, cause you was excommunicated. But the sons of our forefathers breaking the highest covenant, thinking he was playing, and now we paying for it. You may not know it because you discontinued from your heritage, but I'll tell it to you that you're destined for greatness. Our slavery wasn't easy, oppressors had us subjugated through imperialism, systemic racism. And what do you know, we're still going stronger. 22-0, that self-hatred 2.0, that Willie Lynch syndrome. You know how the story goes. A brother kill another brother over some colors or a street that he don't even know. Or maybe some sorcery that he was pushing or selling. The farmer keep on smoking and leaning, blowing on the dro. Well, systematically destroying us from within, from generation, going through the curse of foolish people when it comes to doing good. But when it comes to doing evil, we stay doing the most. Have a second guessing our own potential. You ever heard that? That you was destined for greatness? Well, I can do you one better. You serve the Most High with fear and trembling. That's the definition of greatness. The Most High said he would send the fierce nation against us that would show no pity to the young or even the old. And since we worshiped and followed the gods of the other nation, was only right he put us all out in the cold. And now we calling back to Abba in heaven, singing, Father, please come get us and take us all back home. And bring us back to the place where we belong, where we reside on your side, sending praises up to your thoughts, so we'll be destined for greatness. Destined for greatness. You know that? Destined for greatness. Do you believe that? Destined for greatness. You can't see that? Destined for greatness. That's why he made you. Destined for greatness. Israel. Destined for greatness. My brothers is destined for greatness. My sisters too. Destined for greatness. Can you tell me why society like to be robbing, get my history while I'm asleep? Obviously somebody did it on purpose, teaching the law done away what they put on your neck while you in poverty. You got grace though, that's bribery. I love the way your face glow, why they gassing you up and you steady going in the direction that's wrong. Now you see how flattering words can mislead you into something that's wrong. Now how could a nation so strong with so righteous statutes and judgments that's in all this law? Turn around and fall, but not taking heed and turning off from all this law to keep it all with our whole heart. I know we had a rough start, but we back, baby. Whole world looking at us like we crazy. You gon' be the one pushing up daisies if you don't take heed to what we saying and prepare to be greatness. Cause we destined for greatness. Our Father's the greatest. And we ain't the type to dip and abandon ship. When it starts to get thick, we with them to the end. Riding till the wheels fall off, and if they do, we discover new all over again. Because we destined for greatness. And I can see why they be hating. That's why they keep promoting sin and filthiness all over the world, hoping that we embrace it. But guess what? They about to get a facelift. I feel a change govern the Father waking the children up out of a slumber. I wanna be a part of that number, not the one getting cut asunder with the sword of his mouth, claiming they love him, but their heart is far from him. That ain't destined for greatness. I guess you playing with his patience. Stop embracing the culture of society that enslaved us, that taught us that trained behavior. Now our communities looking to what worse than a wasteland. But we can head back to Graceland. Destined for greatness. You know that? Destined for greatness. Do you believe that? Destined for greatness. You can't see that? Destined for greatness. That's why he made you. Destined for greatness. Israel. Destined for greatness. My brothers is destined for greatness.